What's up, Nerdyverse? I'm Daddy Louie, and in this video, we are taking a look at a game called Crimson Woods, so stick around. Before we get started, if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe for more content and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Welcome to Camp Crimson Woods. This game is published by Red Clover Games. It is launching on Kickstarter on 27 October, just in time for Halloween. It is for 2 to 6 players, ages 14 and up, and takes around 45 minutes to an hour to play. This game is a 1980s horror slasher themed survival game. You will be using different mechanics such as memory, exploration, and things like that to try and survive the killer of Camp Crimson Woods. It is co-op, although there is very much player elimination, so not every player may make it out of the woods alive, and some players may make it out of the woods before other players. So you could very well be left behind by the majority of the group or by some of the group, just depending on how far away you are when the rest of the group escapes and things like that. I've been following this game for a while. I'm very, very excited to finally get it and finally explore it. And the question is it good? Well, join me on the table. Let's check it out. All right, so here's just a brief overview of the components that came in the game. This is a prototype. The game is still under development, although it is pretty much finished as far as the mechanics and stuff goes. Some of the artwork is not finalized. For example, on the player cards, we have one pretty much finished character here, complete with, stats and some flavor and stuff like that, as well as a picture. And then you'll see the rest are blank. All of their special abilities and stuff are fleshed out, but again, they're still working on some of the flavor stuff. But that's okay. So, like I just mentioned, these are the player cards. Each player will get one of these. You can either divvy them out randomly, or you can decide ahead of time who wants to take whom. They do have different special abilities. For the most part, they have the same health, except one of the characters has one extra health than the other, and one can move faster than the others, and one can hold more cards in their hand than the others. And then there are some extra special abilities. Then we have our resource cards. Resource cards come in all different flavors: guns, can of mace, energy bars, energy drinks, flashlights, etc., as well as batteries. That's for the escape routes and stuff like that. And then there's also killer attack cards. These will be shuffled into the resource deck, and how many you put in there will depend on how difficult of a game that you want. It comes with plenty, but like I said, you're going to determine how difficult you want the game to be, and then that's how many of these you're going to shuffle in. The art on these cards is really good. It's perfect for the theme of the game. I like them a lot. Then we've got meeples. Each player will get their own different colored meeple, as well as a little blood drop to go on the character cards to indicate damage. Then we have our dice. So there's different dice. There's 3 red dice for the killer. There's 2 blue dice for the player. There's also coordinate dice, 1 black, 1 white, that you'll roll together to see where the killer is currently located. And then you have a killer movement die that has north, south, east, west, 2, and 3. And this is going to move this is like your AI. This is how the killer is going to move around the board. Then you have a separate meeple and teardrop as well, or blood drop. This is for the killer, so the killer is always the red meeple. And then we have our search cards, or the cards that you're going to get when you search a tile. These have different meanings. This symbol here, when you get 3 of these, the killer attacks you automatically. This is draw a card. Let's see. This is a med kit, which will heal you 1. And I can't remember if there's any other ones. Doesn't look like it. And then, of course, you have the keys. There's 3 different ways of escaping: via car, boat, or calling the police and having them show up and rescue you at the watchtower. And in order to do that, you'll need to find the keys for those first. And you do that by moving around the map and flipping over these tiles. So you got 4 home base tiles. These are going to stay in the center of the board. And then these are going to be randomly placed around the board face down in a woodsy area with one of these cards underneath it. And when you land on it, you're going to flip it over, take the card, and then you're going to do what it says. You are looking for the different things that will help you escape, such as the boat, the car, and the watchtower. So once you have found them and you have the needed items in order to get away, then you will escape the board and be victorious. But again, you can leave your friends behind, so just keep that in mind. That is a thing. But anyway, that's all the components that came in the box that I got. Let me set up for a quick game, and I will show you exactly how it plays. Okay, so here is Camp Crimson Woods. I've set up here for a 3-player game. Each player will take their meeple, and they will place them in one of the 4 starting zones. And then everything else is laid out within reach. I've chosen a normal game, so there's 10 killer cards inside of the resource deck. 7 is for an easy game, 15 is for a hard game. So we just went with normal here. For ease of explaining how to play, the characters that I've chosen all have the same stats. So they all have 3 health, a maximum hand size of 5, and a movement of 2. I'm not really going to talk too much about the special abilities. Just know that all of the special abilities are once per game use. So for example, here with this guy, his special is he rolls 3 dice instead of 2 in combat. He just gets to do that once per game. But he does have the fighter stat, which says he can reroll 1 die every time he fights. So he's really good in combat against the killer. And then these other guys have special rules as well. We're not going to, like I said, we're not going to go over those, though. So just for ease of use, just know that everybody has 3 health, max hand size of 5, and a movement of 2. Okay, so on your turn, there is going to be the same steps that you're going to do every single time. So first you're going to roll the killer location die, then you're going to move, take your actions, flip and resolve a tile, roll the killer movement die, and then draw a card. Keep in mind that the resource deck is a timer as well, so if at any point in time the resource deck runs out of cards, you have 1 more full round of turns, and if you haven't escaped by then, you lose. You're exhausted, you've exhausted all your resources, and you just give up on life, and the killer comes and kills you. So the very first thing that we're going to do is roll our killer location dice. The white represents the column, and the black represents the row. And then there's also numbers as well. If your dice matches any of the face-up numbers, if there are any other face-up numbers, then he automatically goes there. Otherwise, he goes on to the chart as I just explained. So we roll that. We got a 4 and a 3, which just so happens to be one of these locations here. So he could go to 4-3 or 3-4, but he's going to go to where there's a person for him to kill because he's just super smart. So he's going to go over here to the blue guy, which lets us explain how combat works right away. So combat's going to happen immediately. You don't get to do the rest of your turn just yet because the killer has come and found you. So one of the players, not the active player here that's fighting, will roll for the killer. So in this case, he got a really good roll of, really good roll of 13. And then the player is going to roll and get nowhere close. And the killer is going to do 1 point of damage to the blue player here. Remember, you have 3 health unless otherwise stated. So now this blue player is down to 2 health. And the killer goes away. He vanishes back into the woods after he does his point of damage. and now you, the player, have to flee. So if you lose the combat, you have to run away, and that's moving. You have to move at least 2 spaces, and your turn will immediately end. So movement, you can't move diagonal. You have to move left, right, up, down. So this guy here, I think he's just going to go 1, 2. He's going to come all the way over here. And then his turn's going to end just like that. He's not going to flip over this tile. He's not going to do that until next turn. So for me to remember that, I just lay my meeple down. All right, well, that wasn't a really good example of a turn because I didn't get to do anything. So why don't we go through another person's turn here. The white player will go next. He's going to roll these location dice again, and he got a 4, 5. 4 going this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 goes columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the killer goes right there. So now it's going to be his next action, or his next part of his phase is to move. So he's going to obviously want to get the heck away from this killer. So he's going to go up this way. 1, 2. He'll go up here. He doesn't have any cards to play as an action or anything like that. So he'll go into step 3 of his turn, which is to flip and resolve the tile. So he's going to flip this over. He immediately gets this right here, which lets him draw a card. So he'll go ahead and draw a card. And it is an adrenaline shot, plus 5 movement. Remove the card from the game. So he can use that at some point in time to give him an adrenaline shot. And then this right here is space 1, 1. And it says roll a die, basically. 1 to 2, you heal 1 HP. 3 to 5, you draw a card. On a 6, the killer appears. So we're going to just roll a die here. I rolled a 4, which is draw a card. So he gets to draw another card. And he's got batteries. This is for the watchtower. So in order to escape the watchtower, one of the things that you need is batteries. So it's good that he found that early on in the game. Now the killer moves. So the killer was down here. He's going to take this. He's going to roll. And that is a W, which is west. So he's going to move 1 space west. And now we draw a card. At the end of our turn, you don't have to draw cards when it says draw cards. That's your choice, but early on, you're not going to have any cards in your hand, so in my opinion, drawing cards is really good. And that would end his turn. Let's go back through the last Meeple's turn just to see basically what happens. So first thing that we're going to do is roll these 2 dice. We got another 4 and a 5, so 4 over, 5 down. The killer appears over here. Now we are going to get our move, so we're going to move this way, 1, 2, and we're going to flip and resolve this. I did get a stalker card. Remember, if I get 3 of these, I keep this on my character, and if I do get 3 of these, then the killer appears automatically and attacks me. And here, bada bing, bada boom, we just discovered the watchtower. I totally didn't plan that, by the way. And this is one of the 3 ways that you as a group can escape the board. Now, the watchtower is actually the most difficult of the 3 ways to escape because you have to wait a full round once you've completed everything that it is that you need to do. So for the watchtower, you need to have a battery, which our white player has. We need the watchtower keys, which is hidden underneath one of these tiles that we haven't discovered yet. And we need a successful roll. You'll see rolls here are a 5 and a 6. So this says on a 1, the killer appears. On a 2, your batteries are dead and you have to discard them going and trying to find more batteries. 3 to 4, you get no signal. And 5 to 6, the police are coming and you have to wait a full round. So in order to escape this way, what you need is you need the batteries. You need the key, which is located underneath here. You need to land on the space, and you need to roll a 5 or a 6. Once all of that is completed, you wait 1 full round, and whoever is on the station still after that full round gets to escape the board. The boat and the car are easier. The boat needs gas, which is another resource card like the batteries. you need the boat keys, and then you need a successful roll. The car needs gas, and it needs the car keys, which is underneath here, and a successful roll. So it is easier to escape via car and boat, but in this particular case, we just so happened to find the watchtower. So now as a group, we would probably, now that we know that the watchtower is there, we're going to be searching here for the watchtower keys. And then we need the white player to make his way over here, and then we need to roll and wait for the police, hoping that, you know, we don't die from the killer in the meantime. The only other thing that I need to really explain, I think, is when you leave a tile, the tile flips back over. That's where the memory comes back in. So once it is this white player's turn again and he moves, let's say he moves up here looking for the key, this actually flips back over to a woodsy area, and then we would get to go up here, reveal, it's another draw, and look, there's the boat. So just keep that in mind, that there are not too many situations where tiles will be face up. So yeah, that's just something that I think is really cool and unique about the game, is that you know, the killer is hiding in all these woodsy areas. So the only time that you know when something is where it is if you're on that particular tile. So players will keep making turns like this, trying to stay alive as the killer disappears and reappears. And combat is the killer's 3 rolls versus your 2, plus any modifiers if you choose to use a weapon or something like that. Ties, the player wins. If you defeat the killer, he will leave the board, and you will get to draw a resource card. That's your bonus for beating the killer. If he beats you, you have to flee, you get no bonus card, and you lose a health. So the killer can never die. Just keep that in mind as well. You can't, like, tank the killer, because eventually you're going to lose. Anyway, guys, that's everything that you need to know in order to play Crimson Woods. For me, the hype for this game is real. I love the 80s horror slasher film vibe that I get from it. I'm an 80s kid, so that's definitely a very cool genre for me. I like the mix of memory, having to memorize where certain tiles are, the survival, the exploration of moving around the board, while also trying to avoid the killer and whatever he's doing. The AI-controlled killer is very intuitive. We had no issues once we understood how that worked. The stretch goals coming in the Kickstarter are going to add killers, actually named killers, that will turn this game from a standard 2 to 6 players to also having a 1 player gets to play as the killers while the other players are trying to survive that killer. So it'll become a 1 versus many. You'll have both options being able to play. There'll also be new tiles, new resources, all that cool stuff coming hopefully in the stretch goals of the Kickstarter. The art is cool. The design is great. They're hoping to have like t-shirts and stuff with some of the designs on it. Hopefully that will be included as well. For me, like I said, the hype for this was real. I've been excited about this one for a while. I'm very grateful and fortunate that I got the opportunity to check it out. This game will be on Kickstarter 27 October, just in time for Halloween. If the game funds by Halloween, which you can help make happen, then Edgar, who is the first of the named killers, will be unlocked free for all the backers of the game. So go and check that out right away. Don't wait, and support this game, support the creator, and I hope that you guys enjoy the game as much as I have. What do you guys think of Crimson Woods? Let me know down in the comment section below. I enjoy reading those and interacting with you. If you want to see more from the Circle of Nerds, you can find us over on all of our social media accounts. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Circle of Nerds. Also, don't forget that we have a podcast that comes out every week called The Cosmic Disaster Show. You can find that right here on YouTube or anywhere that you enjoy listening to podcasts. And for an extra bit of love and affection to us here at the Circle of Nerds, please consider checking us out over on Patreon at patreon.com/circleofnerds. Anyway, guys, that's all from me. I will see you in the next video.